Hey, welcome back. As you can see, Gabe is eating. Nothing's new here.
Or
Welcome back to the Catchin Up Podcast. My name is Tyler.
clearly, my name's Gabriel.
Gabe has something he wants to get off his chest to kick off this episode, so I'll let him have the floor.
Yeah, you know what? Working in the service industry, you see a lot of things: good, bad, ugly, a little creepy.
Sure.
But one thing, because trust me, I've served in a lot of places and I've seen a lot of different things. But the one thing that always happens that I don't get why, and it's so easy to avoid, because it's just so hurtful and it only causes harm, is standing someone up for a date. Like I've seen now every place I've worked at, and it's literally like the most heartbreaking thing, like ever. Like just seeing someone that's like there, and they like are just sitting there waiting for someone, excited of course, probably a little bit nervous, and then they wait a certain amount of time to order, and then they like kind of realize that they're not coming or whatever the case may be, and then you just see like that fire in them and like that like light just like diminish. And then it's just like where they're just sitting there. I've seen people cry. I've seen people get angry and leave. I've seen people just sit there and kind of just suck it up, but they're just like, you can tell they're thrown off. Like, it's just one of those things that like just breaks my heart, and I think it affects people so. Like that's something that fortunately I've never had to experience. So like mine just comes from like just being empathetic. But I know a lot of people that have been stood up, and it's just like it comes off as insecurity, but it's not that they're insecure. It's just like they just have so much experience of like getting stood up out of the blue that it's just like they're almost just anticipating waiting again. Like it just causes so much damage, and it's just so heartbreaking. So stop standing people up, whether you're a guy or a girl. I don't care. Make something up. Say something. Don't just ghost them. Be like, yo, flat tire, not gonna be able to make it, let's reschedule. And then just like, I don't know, then ghost them, sure. Not like let them get there and then expect you there and then just be like, oh.
Yeah, that's crazy to me, bro. I've never like, I mean, I've definitely back in the day ghosted people on text, as well as I've been ghosted before as well, many times. But I've never been the one to like set up a date and then ghost somebody. I'm like, it's just pure wrong. You know what I mean? It's like, why even go that far? You know what I mean? Unless you're trying to like intentionally hurt their feelings. And listen, if something comes up, like, I don't know, emergency. All right, reset. Like, I don't know, emergencies happen and things like that. Or like maybe something really came up, like your friend like last minute hit you up and you want to go to their thing. Like, just let the person know. You know what I mean? Versus just letting them go to this place that you guys had arranged to go together, and now they're all alone. You know, it's like, it's like you said, it's hurtful. It's gonna traumatize them. It's gonna damage their self-confidence, and it's probably gonna make them very hesitant going forward. And of course, like, they'll get over it. They'll learn from this experience. They'll grow. But I just think like it's something that can then create a bad habit, because it's like, oh, maybe they're super like paranoid now. So they're like overly texting the next person, making sure they're going to be there. You know what I mean? Which is now maybe harming that potential relationship. And there's just no point to it, bro. Like if you don't, like, again, after a while, like it even goes back to the ghosting over texting. After a while, I was just like, why am I scared to just tell somebody, hey, like, it's been fun, like I've had a great time talking, but like it just isn't working out for me. Like I don't understand why that is such a hard concept for us as like people. Usually it's like younger people, but I still even have people my age that like, you know, are in the dating world and have experiences like that. I'm like, I don't understand why it's so hard to just be like, hey, I'm not interested. Like, yeah, it may hurt the person's feelings, but I personally think it hurts worse when you either get ghosted or people keep leading you on but never want to see you, never want to hang out. They just keep like texting you because they feel bad. Like, just rip the Band-Aid off and like they'll be all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So that was just my hot take, just because like my whole staff was talking about how like it's just messed up. Like, why would you do that? And like we've all seen it, like guys get stood up and girls get stood
Yeah.
up. So it's everyone. It's
So
all
if
of
you're
you.
coming for
It
us
ain't just
talking
one
about
side.
We're macho men or something, you know? We're standing up for both sides.
Yeah. Yeah. Equality.
Anyways,
Just
we're gonna
kidding.
go ahead and cue that
I'm gonna
intro.
cut that out.
Ladies and gentlemen, the show is about to start. Introducing Catchin Up
I customize mine because I'm bougie.
It's not a 9, but it's not an 8.5 either. Like,
Why are you this picky?
you have to be the one to open the door. You have to be the one to open your heart.
It's not about you. It's about touching other people's lives.
This is the Catching Up Podcast. If you're not caught up, you're catching up.
I don't necessarily know what that means. Okay, so we're going to hop into a little coffee review. It's been a minute, I think, since we've done an actual coffee review because last week we did the croissants, and then I think we've had a couple night episodes. So, yeah, we're back to the coffee reviews.
Yeah. I don't think we've done coffee since like the first episode.
Maybe, yeah, because the other time we did the chai. But the chai is not really
No,
coffee.
since the chai.
You know, it's a tea.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, so
Coffee-esque.
it is coffee-esque. Gabe, why don't you go and tell them where you went today?
Oh, right, because we didn't do major chains, even though mine's, I think, still a chain. But since I'm smart and I got this a while ago, I ordered, I went to Double O's. I got their iced white mocha espresso with ice on the sides so it wouldn't get watered down. And I'm excited. They were really cool. I felt like awkward asking for ice on the side, so I was like, yeah, like I just review stuff. So it's like, I just
you wanted
don't
them
want it
to know
get
you're an
watered down, so can you do on the
influencer.
side? And then, yeah, bro, I honestly hated the fact that I brought it up, but I was just like overthinking it because I was like, who asked for iced coffee with ice on the side?
Yeah.
I'm like, is it even cold? You know what I mean? Like, the way I make iced coffee is I brew hot coffee and I pour it over ice. So I'm like, is they're just going to give me like a hot coffee and I'm just going to feel like an idiot where I should just order a hot coffee with ice on the side?
Well, I had
Anyways,
something like
sorry,
that too
guys.
because I
Head
was
trash.
leaving the coffee shop and I
Insecurities,
had there's a shirt that me and Gabe got gifted by a brand called YFNO. And for like the podcast to like represent it on the podcast, and I was leaving. This guy was like, "Yo, this shirt is dope. Where'd you get it from?" And I was like, "It's this brand called YFNO. Like, I think they have like it's their Instagram. Like, me and my friend got gifted it from one of his friends for the podcast that I do. So, you know."
He didn't.
Yeah,
Just so you know,
it's
it was
weird
like part of a
because
brand
it's
deal.
not.
You know,
It's not like I just feel so LA when I have to say things like that. But like you know, it's like that is the situation. You know.
Yeah, I started. I bring the
Right,
coldest
yeah,
water
yeah.
bottle that we got from that partnership that we did with them, and like people asking about it, and they're like, "Oh, where'd you get
Funny
that?" I'm like,
story.
"Whoa." I mean, it was free because I am a boss. Anyway, so here's the coffee.
and then
I'm just gonna pour it in like this.
And then I went to Recreation Cafe. It's this cool little spot, literally like 2 minutes from my house. And I got their iced mocha. They have a lot of really cool different drinks there, but a lot of it was like more so made with like vegan, like oat milk and stuff like that, and that's not my vibe. So I just went with the regular iced mocha. But it's a really cool spot. Apparently they do like stand up and live music. They're open from morning till like 9 o'clock at the night. So I need to check it out, but you should also check it out if you're in the mid-city area in LA because it seems like a pretty cool spot. All right.
Oh, I think I forgot the straw
Here, I'll give you mine.
because they asked. Hold on. They literally asked me. They were like, "Do you want a straw?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not? That'd be nice." But whatever.
All right,
Anyways,
cheers.
Cheers. Or you? Pew. I wonder if people ever watch us and they're like,
That's probably what 99% of our viewers are thinking most of the time. Okay, do you want to go first or do you want me to go first? Because technically they kind of have to be like separate reviews just for the short forms. So, all right.
Yeah, I'll go first just because I introduced mine first. For it being an espresso, like I really like. Okay, I'm probably gonna rate it like an 8.5 out of 10. I really like the flavor of the coffee. The espresso is very bold, but not overly bold to where it's like bitter. So like you drink this and you're like, oh,
Right.
this is espresso. This is not a cup of coffee. So I like that. So that's really good. I wouldn't say it's white mocha. Like I can taste like the chocolatey aspect of it, but I can also taste like a little extra sweetness, which is probably where the white is coming from. So like the white chocolate part. So, and I'm assuming that's what white mocha means. So, yeah, I think the flavor profile isn't what I was expecting, but it makes sense. Like I'm not like what am I really drinking? You know what I mean? Like it's sweeter. It's like a different sweetness than caramel, which is what I usually get. It's like that meat in the middle. So yeah, I think this is really good. I'd say 8.5,
All right.
maybe even a 9, honestly.
Yeah, Double O's is fire. If you
Really
live
good cup
in
of
the
coffee.
Orlando area, definitely should check it
Yeah,
out.
I'm impressed. And they were really cool.
All right, bro. Why
They
don't
were
you
cool
just go
people.
back and hang out with them then if they're so cool?
All right, so Jimmy and Beth. No, I'm just kidding. I have no idea what their names were. I jumped away and I was like,
Okay,
man, I should have asked.
So my review for this one, the ice mocha. I know, slurp. So it's really good. It's very chocolate, which I like because I'm a chocolate fiend. I love chocolate. You know, I know some
I did
people are
not.
kind of like, I like it here and there. No, I love chocolate. Give me all the chocolate. And this is like a really chocolatey mocha.
Chocolate.
Almost to the degree.
That's how Tyler is.
In the best way possible, it tastes like chocolate milk. You know, but it's a coffee. So you kind of get the best of both worlds where it's like, it tastes like I'm drinking chocolate milk, but I'm actually getting caffeine benefits from it. And probably not as much like fat, I'm assuming, because I think chocolate milk has a lot of fat in it. But it's really tasty. It's very simple, but like really solid. You know, some people can kind of underdo it sometimes, and the coffee takes over. I think it's nice when there's that balance. This is probably a little bit over the balance on the sweetness, but I personally like it. So I'm going to rate it a 9 out of 10. Like this, I could slurp this thing down like right
So
now,
Tyler rated it.
but I won't.
So if Tyler rated it a 9, I'd probably rate it like a 6.5.
No, I think you like chocolate, don't you? What do you mean?
Why are you looking at me like that? Right? No, bro. I mean, I do, but I'm picky. Like it's.
Yeah,
I think chocolate's overpowering
you'd give
a lot
it
of
like
the time.
like an 8. Like I think you'd enjoy it, but you'd be like, it's a little bit too sweet for me. But I think you'd like it.
Like Foxtail's mocha, in my opinion, is like
I
really
miss
chocolatey.
Foxtail, bro. He said, "I know.
Maybe.
I know you think about it every day."
Every day.
No, you know where I
It thinks
really want
about
to
you
go
too.
is
It's
to
okay.
a swig. A swig?
A what?
Yeah, the local swig.
I don't know what that
I
is.
think they have one in Florida now. I don't know where, but it's just basically this place. I think they do coffees and stuff. I'm not exactly sure. The thing that I know that they're known for is like making what?
Bro, we're talking about coffee. Keep talking.
yeah.
I'm eating.
How about you sit back? No, they're known for making like different like types of sodas. You know what I mean? So like you'll get a Dr. Pepper, but they'll add like coconut and like maybe some like cream in there or something like that. So it's like a cream soda, coconut flavor. Like they just do different different mashups of sodas, I guess you could say. So I don't know. It sounds different flavors.
That's
like, you
cool.
know, you can get probably like a cherry vanilla Coke with like some coconut milk in there or something. I don't know, but like I've seen them and I'm like, man, I need some of that.
That sounds really cool. Yeah, I was just laughing at the fact that you're like, we're talking about coffee and then we're talking about Foxtail, and you're like, I want to try Swigs, and I'm like, or Swiggies or whatever it's called, and then I'm like, what's that? And then you say like 3 times, as if it's gonna click, and then you're like, well, I think they have coffee, and I'm like, wait, what? And you're like, well, or maybe they have this, and I'm like, do you know anything they have? Like, why do you want to go there? Why are you bringing this up?
I think they put one in Florida, so maybe.
So I just
when I'm
thought it was
down
funny.
there, we'll have to, maybe we'll take a little trip out and check it out.
It's gonna be like
Hey,
in Miami.
for a flavored soda,
For a flavored soda, that'd be crazy.
Anyways, that's the end of the podcast.
Anyways.
Thanks for tuning in. We're just doing reviews now, actually.
Season
we're gonna get
finale
into
by
a topic that I think will be pretty fun for both of us. Hopefully, we're talking about today. What are some things that turn people off to Christianity, or just could be religion in general? But I think like we just have
Religion
more
as a whole,
personal
yeah.
experience with obviously Christianity, considering we are Christians. So what are some of the perspectives? What are some of the takes? And like these for me are even some like things that I personally experienced because again I've only been a Christian for about a year and a half now. For those who haven't been watching the podcast, so I lived some of these experiences, and some of them were like things that made me reluctant to join or to consider it. You know what I mean? And I think it's something that like both parties, non-believers and believers, can do better at. So yeah. It's kind of that's like the outline of what we're going to be going into. Do you want to start off?
I figured you were just gonna go first since it was your topic. No, because mine. Basically, I knew you were gonna have a bunch of stuff that you kind of like went through and like thought yourself, but I had a feeling that we potentially were gonna have a lot of the same thoughts and ideas of like what turns people off to Christianity. Just because I feel like we've talked about it before too, so it's like I kind of feel like I know where your head's at. So I took a different approach, and I was just like chat GBTing like a bunch of like things that like I'm just to make sure like we covered a bunch of different topics.
Just because I was like, I had some thoughts, but I was like, okay,
new
let me see
generation
like what are some of like the major overall ones that people like think about, because I'm like, I don't want to just come from my personal experience. I want it to also be inclusive, so that like maybe if somebody who's watching this has that perspective, they can relate to it, because maybe I had a different one. But this is, I'll just start it off with one, and then I'll let you go into yours. Because I only have two. I was like, I obviously don't want to, there's a lot of things, you know what I mean? But like, I don't want to cover every single base. But one for me, and one that I think is probably one of the most, one of the biggest reasons that people are turned off to Christianity, is hypocrisy among believers. And I think this is a double-edged sword, in the sense of it's a wrong perspective of the non-believer, but it is something that the believer needs to do better about. And again, I can attest to this because this was one of the things that held me back from looking into Christianity before I was a believer, because there are a lot of people who are Christians or claim to be Christians that can be very judgmental, in the sense of they're always looking to call others out on their wrongdoings, or they're kind of shaming or putting people down for their sinful ways. And I think they forget that like either A, at one point they were also doing those things, or B, that they still commit sins on a daily basis, right? Like, even if like somebody is committing a sin that like you no longer do, or that you have a grasp on, right? Like, you still have to look at yourself and be like, well, I'm still a sinner as well. So if I'm here calling you out on these things, and then behind closed doors, I'm doing these things, even though it's not the same sin, it's still equivalent. It's not like your sin is worse than my sin, And I think the misconception that non-believers have, especially when like you have judgmental Christians who are always like looking to like call people out and this and that, right? Is they have this assumption that when you become a Christian, like you're supposed to be perfect, right? You're supposed to be polished, you're supposed to be clean, you're supposed to be this, you're supposed to be that, which, from my understanding, is the complete opposite of what a Christian is. A Christian is somebody who accepts and understands that they are a sinner who needs to be saved, who needs a savior. Because if you are perfect, you wouldn't need a savior, right? That's why Jesus Christ is our savior, because he was the only and will be the only human to live a perfect life, because he was God in human form, right? And so he died for my sins, past, present, and future, so that I may be forgiven and live eternally with him in his kingdom. And that's changed my outlook in, a lot of ways, right? Because I now believe that, like, a quote unquote hypocritical Christian, like labeling somebody that is kind of, it's kind of misleading, because me claiming to be a Christian doesn't mean that I'm claiming to be perfect. That, like I said, that's an outsider's misconception. Just because you're a Christian doesn't mean that you're claiming to be sin-free, right? And so it's like, that still doesn't give me the right to judge others, though, right? Just because now that I'm gaining all this knowledge and wisdom and understanding from the Bible about what sin is and how to tackle sin, like, that doesn't give me the right to shame somebody else for committing a sin. And like, I've even been a little bit guilty about this too. Like, if I get a grasp on a certain sin, and I see other people doing it, I might feel a certain type of way. I never like would call somebody out for it, but even mentally, right? Because I feel like that's also what Jesus came to do. He's like, people were like, oh, well, I haven't committed murder. I haven't done this. And then he's like, well, even if you mentally, if you're hating your brother, if you're angry with your brother, like, that's basically the same. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. It's mentally. And so, but also what Jesus says is that you have to take the log out of your own eye before you can go ahead and try to help or encourage somebody else to do better about their sinful ways, right? Because if you're over here and you have a log in your eye and you took a little piece out, not the whole thing, you took a little piece out, you all of a sudden feel like, you feel like so much more confident in it. And it's like, well, you still have so much left to continue to work on, right? So like, yes, you can help and encourage others, but you have to do it also in a generous and kind way, right? Like, a lot of the times, I think the problem is because we are called to righteously judge. Once we take the log out of our eyes, we are called to righteously judge others. Not in the sense of like, I'm judging you and giving you punishment. No, it's such that, hey, I want to help you overcome this sin. But there's a way to do that in a generous and a kind manner, and not in a judgmental and unkind way. And it's something that I think needs to truly be worked on within the people that claim to be followers of Christ. And I think that non-believers also shouldn't take humans who are claiming to be Christians, but are still humans who are sinful and are wicked, right? Like, yes, as a Christian, you're aiming and you're growing and you're becoming a renewed, person, but like, that doesn't mean you're perfect. That doesn't mean you're always going to do right. That doesn't mean, so when you're taking, oh, well, I know these Christians and they're always doing this, and then they're calling me out for this, but they do that. And it's like, well, they're humans. They're not Jesus. You know what I mean? So you can't judge them as if they were Jesus, right? Like, that's why we follow God's word, but we're not claiming to be him. But I think at the end of the day, believers also need to do a better job about living the life that they actually claim to be living, right? Like, if you're saying that you're living this lifestyle and you're trying to encourage other people to live this lifestyle and encourage other people to follow in Jesus' way, then like, you also have to back that up with action and with the way you live your life. And so I think, like, yeah, that just encompasses like the hypocrisy among believers. Like, yes, it's very true, but I think there's a misconception that I had a lot of the times, because whenever like I would have conversations with certain Christians, and they would, kind of make it seem like, what they're doing is like so great, but then I would see them do certain things, or you even see it in the church all the time, where like, you'll see a pastor like get in trouble for something bad, and like, you're like, oh, well, you see, that's what the Christian church is teaching. It's like, no, that's just a flawed human who is claiming to live a lifestyle that they're not actually living, that they're not actually following. And so you have to, like, both sides have something to work on in this sense.
Yeah. No, I mean everything you said was well said. It's everything I would have said, and I think it also relates to another point that kind of turns people away from religion is just own trauma in a religious organization or setting, and I think that's something that isn't for everyone. You know what I mean? But because we're imperfect humans, we can be judgmental. We can XYZ, everything you said, but I think that a lot of the times, a lot of people I talk to sometimes are like, oh yeah, well I tried it and then this went wrong and now, boom, I like hate religion, I hate God, I hate this, I hate that because of the people and examples of my life. So it's just like, kind of like one goes into the other of like how like people are what ruin religion. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? Like if you read the Bible, you can't just be like, oh, this ruined it for me. You know what I mean? Like, no, it's someone that's misleading and misteaching you. That's what's gonna ruin it for you. Just like jobs. You know what I mean? Yeah. So just to have a different perspective, just different point now because the other one kind of correlated with what you were saying. I think another thing that turns people off towards religion is because society, it's all about you. It's all about what you want. It's all about being free and having the freedom to be able to do whatever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want, however you want. And I feel like a lot of people look towards religious because I remember us having this conversation where you're like, oh, well, I don't want to be Christian because I'm going to have to not be able to do this. I can't do that. I have to not do this. And I think that turns people off of like having to, from the outside perspective, it's a set of rules. And in a way it is, you know what I mean? But it's not with the mentality of like, these are the rules, you can't do it because I say you can't do it. It's actually like, I'm putting these in place to actually better you and help you in like literally every way possible. And if you follow these things that I'm telling you to do, your life will be more fruitful. You will be more fulfilling, right? And society teaches us the exact opposite of that. So I think that's a major thing that turns people off because they're like, well, if I can go... you know how we make jokes about it all the time. Like, oh, we might have, like, it's so easy to just go do something that's against our technical religious morals. And I could be rich tomorrow, probably. You know what I mean? All I got to go do is, like, take a loan out, put everything on red. Boom, hope for the best. You know what I mean? Like, it really can be that easy, and it can be so appealing because it's our fleshly desires. It's like, exactly what I said. Do whatever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want, however you want. So I think that's one big thing that turns people off as a whole. Is just having to conform to a set of boundaries, right? Instead of rules, it's just boundaries where it's not like you're gonna get like kicked out if you break something, like break one of the rules. But yeah, and then that also kind of goes into the aspect of then that also scares people because whenever you have to do that, people get a sense of having to belong, and if they disagree, they don't want to like speak up, and it can put them in an uncomfortable position to where it's like, for example, when you were first coming into the faith and you had questions and you're like, I don't want to sound stupid. Luckily, I was able to have a safe space for you where you felt you could ask me those questions. Someone that's just newly going in without a friend or a mentor or someone in that position to where they don't feel judged, it's just anxiousness.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't want to do that. Like, I wouldn't want to go. Like, I have questions about other religions because I'm like, oh, so I don't get this. Like, is this how you think? But I don't want to pick someone's brain because I don't know how they're going to take it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, I think it's like a domino effect of like, oh, now I don't want to follow rules. Okay, if I follow the rules, then it's like, oh man, now I got to be just like everyone else. And if I'm just like everyone else and I'm not, and I'm the one that's going against the grain, then I stick out. And then I'm like, then I bite, so I'll get exiled. And then I'm not part of it anymore. So like, why even go through all that? For what? When I can just go do what I want.
Well, and yeah, it's also just like getting caught up in the things of this world and like what society and culture is deeming as like things that we should be doing, right? We want to be doing, give in to your desires, give in to your feelings, give in, like that's all that's all that this society is about, bro. You know, and I was a part of that, bro.
Yeah.
And that was something that I struggled with a lot too. Was like, oh, well, then I have to follow this and that and this and that. And like, again, number one, Jesus is not seeking perfection. Otherwise, there was no need for him to come down. And two, like, once you begin your journey in the faith, and it took me a while too. Like even when I started my faith journey, like I was still very reluctant and very hesitant to certain things. But as I continued to learn and grow and read the Bible and grow my prayer life, like I started to understand more, and I started to realize like the certain things that I was like resisting against. It was just because I wanted to be resistant. It's just because I wanted to be rebellious. And I think that's a lot of our natures. Is like we want to rebel against what we, the things we should be doing, the things that are better for us. Like, again, I would say like 99% of people don't want to eat healthy food. It's great for them. It's great for your body. It's great for your mind. It's great for your soul. But junk food's more tasty and it's more fun and it's more, like, and it's like,
right.
Again, but which one's better for you? And which one should you be eating on a regular basis? You know what I mean? Like, and even if you eat a super healthy diet, are you going to stumble and need to eat some bad food every once in a while? Yeah, you are. But it's okay. You pick yourself back up and you get back on the track. So that's just like a small example of it where it's like, you resist this so much when it's better for you. And the second thing I had, which kind of like ties into both of these, is the attitude of I'm right and you're wrong. And again, I want to point out that this is an attitude, and this is on both sides, but I'm just coming from it from the perspective of like how Christians can be better about it, because obviously like that's kind of the point we're trying to make here. And there's a certain like attitude that I've experienced and that I've seen even just watching YouTube debates too, with Christians or Catholics or any denomination within the faith. And I think it's something that's really hard to gauge, and it's really hard to like find that silver lining, right? Because, there is a point where like you do have to stand on what you're believing, but not to the point where you're just running over what somebody else is trying to say or what somebody else is thinking or what somebody else is believing. And, I think to like, just kind of set the stage for it, it's like, one, as Christians, we should all be seeking to be better listeners. As a human race, we should be seeking to be better listeners, but especially as Christians, because like it says in James 1:19, which, I'm currently going over in church right now, it's let every man be quick to listen, slow to use his tongue, and slow to lose his temper. Our tongue is so powerful, and it can get us to some great places, but it can also get us to some really bad places. And when you come to learn and understand the truth of the gospel, it is a really, really powerful thing. And it takes over your life, and you want to tell everybody. And you obviously want other people to see it this way as well, because you understand that it's true. You understand that like this is not just something that's temporary. This is literally what's saving your soul, what's saving your eternal life. But also it's going to make your life on this earth better, in the sense of you have the greatest relationship you could have with Jesus. Not in the sense of better, like, oh, I'm going to make a bunch of money and I'm going to have a nice house and this and that. No. And I'm never going to have any trials and tribulations. No, not at all. We're not preaching prosperity gospel here. But you just receive Jesus into your life, and it's so powerful, and you want to like that. That's what becomes the central part of your life. I mean, that's become such a central part of my life. That's, we talk about it on the podcast now, you know what I mean? Because me and him can both relate on it now, and we can have these conversations. But we also have to understand that other people still have their own beliefs and their own opinions, whether that's religious or non-religious, and we have to respect that, and we have to be able to have genuine conversations with one another, and not belittle or downplay someone else's beliefs because of our own, right? In 1 Peter 3:15, it says, always be prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that's in you, the hope of Jesus Christ, but do it with gentleness and respect. And there's so many times I see YouTube videos, oh, this Christian destroys this Muslim, or this Catholic destroyed this atheist. And I'm like, why are you clickbaiting with that, number one? And number two, why is that the terminology you're using? We shouldn't be seeking to destroy or, own anybody. You know what I mean? Like, the goal of having a conversation with somebody about a religious topic should not be to quote unquote win. It should be, hey, I'm really hoping that we can have a genuine conversation, see each other's side, and hopefully this conversation will plant a seed in you that God will then take and water and grow, right? But like when I see so much of this just like, just like aggressiveness in some of the ways people converse and have conversations, I'm like, this is not how we're called to spread the gospel, and again, even if it's just in a conversation between, whether it's a debate or whether it's friends or whether it's relationships or whether it's coworkers, like you have to have that respect there. It can't be that I'm right, you're wrong. So I'll sit here and pretend like I'm listening, but I'm not actually going to listen. I'm just going to run over you when it's my turn to talk. Like, obviously I believe I'm right about Jesus Christ, and I fully 100% believe that. But that doesn't give me the right to act superior and dismiss other people's beliefs and views, right? If that's what they believe, again, my job is to share my experience, to share my journey, to share my, what I've researched, the information that I've come to understand and learn, and hope that plants a seed in them to go and seek the real truth. It may not be immediate. Again, me and him were best friends for 10 years having conversations, and it took almost 10 years for me to actually want to seek the truth for myself, It's not always going to be like, yeah, I won and now he's going to be this. Like, that should never be the goal. I think the biggest thing is that you have to put yourself in this person's shoes and put yourself in their mindset, right? Because a lot of the times, if you're talking to somebody either of another religion or that's a non-believer, you have to understand that they're, again, coming from a perspective of somebody they're very resistant a lot of the times. Yes, there are some people that are open-minded and want to learn, but a lot of the times you're resistant. You don't believe it for a reason, or you believe something else for a reason. So when you're trying to come at somebody and be like, no, this is the truth, put yourself in their shoes so that you can understand why they believe things the way that they do. And then how would you want to be spoken to if that was you? If you were in that position, how would you want to be spoken to? How would you want to converse with yourself if you believe that? And I think that's such a powerful thing to do, because then, the most inspiring conversations I see, because I watch a lot of like videos on YouTube of people that are out there like, doing evangelism or street preaching or whatever. And it's not when people are crushing somebody in a debate or when somebody's out there yelling in somebody's face. The most like inspiring ones to me are when I see a Christian having a conversation with somebody and they're actually sitting there and they're listening and they're receiving what this person is saying and they're letting them speak. They're letting them get their point across. And then they just they give their answer and they share their experience. And again, if it comes to this person being like, you know what, I'll take a look. I'll do some research. I'll try to seek. Great. But sometimes it ends with people being disrespectful and being rude and being crude back to the Christian. And the Christian's just like, okay, like, I'll pray for you. Like, those are the most inspiring conversations to me, because it's like, I'm not out here to win. I'm out here trying to actually like save your soul. And like, if you don't want that, then like, I can't force that upon you. Like, I can't make you want that. That's why God didn't make us robots. He's not going to force it upon you either. And so I think that's the mindset and the perspectives that we have to take. Even between denominations, even if you're not just believer, non-believer, believer, different religion, like even between denominations, I see so much negativity, and I'm like, just go into it with a conversation of a mindset of genuinely wanting to learn and grow and help somebody. And I feel like that will just lead to so much more productive conversations. I'm done, I promise.
No, well said. Per usual. I know. the last point I was just gonna say is it's kind of like a double whammy is culture and stigmatisms, culture and stigmas, like stereotypes, right? I think it's changing now, but I think there was a couple years where, like, for example, in high school, there was one youth group that, like, it became like cool
Okay.
to go to that youth group on Wednesdays, right? So it's like kids that like were cool would go there, kids that weren't cool would go there. Like they were like the biggest youth group in like my high school, right? And then I feel like there was one random year that something happened. I don't know what year, I don't know what happened. But then all of a sudden, like everyone dropped off the face of the earth. Like no one kept going. They diminished. And then like around that same time, like it was almost like bad to be religious or Christian, to where it's like now a lot of the times, like if people say like, "Oh, you go to church?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do." They automatically think a bunch of negative things about me. Like they just assume it. And before it wasn't necessarily like that. And like I know, I get it. Like there's bad representations out there, misrepresentations, and you know, I get it. I understand. But just assuming that, I feel like that's like a big weight for someone that already doesn't associate with that. So it's like, why would you want to put yourself in a position to where it's like now you might get judged just like right off the bat, people are going to start assuming things about you just because of this one part of your life. So, yeah, I think it's different now. I think it's becoming more like okay and like, for lack of a better word, like cool to be Christian, like actually talk about it, because I feel like there's just so many people that are being outspoken about it online, which is giving people more courage to come out of the shadows. But for a couple years there, bro, like it was like you almost like didn't want to mention it because you knew what it was going to bring, like in the workplace or at school or certain friend groups and things like that. So I think that's a big thing too. What turns people off is just like how their perception, people are going to perceive them differently. Right,
I mean, honestly, bro, like
no
I
matter
even
what.
just thought about it. And I'm like, man, because again, like I obviously wasn't a Christian for a long time, but I also had a best friend who was a Christian for a long time, and you. And so it's like I always had a level of respect, even though I didn't agree, even though I didn't. That wasn't my viewpoint. That wasn't my belief. Like I always had a certain respect. Like I kind of wonder what my life or what my belief would have looked like if like you weren't Christian, or like, you know, you weren't in my life and it was filled with somebody else who either just didn't care or was an atheist or was a, you know, this or that. Like I really wonder what my perspective would have looked like, because if somebody would have ever always like it would have talked down or like said something about a Christian, I was like, well, I have a best friend who's Christian and like, you know, I love him. You know what I mean? So like it's just like also thinking about that too. It's like, I don't know what my perspective have been had I not had, you know, somebody who I hung out with all the time, you know. And again, it's not like that was like all our conversations were about, but like, again, things were sprinkled in here and there, and like we would have our own perspectives and conversations. But again, I think even just getting back to the point that I was making is like, you know, I know I've said this in so many episodes, but you know, me and him, like we were able to have conversations and be like, this is this, and this is, I believe this happened because of this, and I believe this happened because of this, and like, it was fine. And again, in my own time, I was able to come to this, I was able to have my eyes open and my ears open, right? And I think like that's just such the beautiful thing about, you know, being humans and respecting each other, is being like, we still have to have conversations. We still have to have respect for one another. You know what I mean? Like, real quick, I was talking about the evangelism. I was watching this video, and this guy, I mean, this dude has an immense amount of patience. He's a Christian. He goes out to different places, and he usually just has like a table or something and like a sign that he sets up, like, hey, come and have a conversation, or, you know, something thought provoking, and people will come up and talk to him on the mic, whether it's a college campus or wherever, and this kid was like having a conversation, and he was very like he was being very like rude to the Christian guy. He was like, oh, well, why do you believe this? Why do you believe, oh, that happened? Can you do that to me? Blah, 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 all this and that. And then at the end, you know, the Christian was like, hey man, like it was great having a conversation, like went out to shake his hand. The guy's like, oh, well, I don't want to shake your hand because I think you're spewing nonsense and this and that. And I'm like, and again, I've seen this on both sides, so I'm not, you know, coming at the guy who's not a Christian, but like, the fact that you can't even shake somebody's hand after a conversation and be like, hey, we might not view the same, but like respect. You're out here, defending what you believe. I'm out here trying to, disprove that. But again, like we're allowed to have this conversation. The fact that you can't even have that respect, it just shows that like, the maturity and the pride is just like the pride's there and the maturity's not, Yeah, exactly. And you can very, very evidently tell that. So
disgusting.
All right, cool. Well, to wrap up this episode, we're going to get into a little bit of a heated topic online right now. That's literally everywhere. And it's so funny. I've been talking about this with my friends, and I was just talking about how like I find it so crazy that like this is what's currently overtaking everybody's mind. But it's basically who would win in a fight, 100 men or one gorilla? You want me to go first?
All right, you go first because I feel like.
Well, I've conversed about this a couple times with my roommates here, and it was funny because the other night we were talking about it, and for some reason I was like, yeah, I think I could go in there with 15, and like it'd be cool now. And then like rethinking it and talking with my roommate, I was like, nah, it's not. I definitely think 100 men could do it, right? Like I don't have any doubt about that. They're not all making it out alive. Let me be clear about that. Like a lot of them are probably getting it out. Right, you're probably going to lose
at least half.
And like there's so many variables that go into it. I'm just going to go into the variable of like you can't choose who you're with, right? Because if you can choose who you're with, obviously like you're going to pick the biggest, the strongest, the most, fighters, whatever. Like it's just you and 100 random dudes.
Right. Okay, I got a good scenario. Okay, so you're at a zoo looking at the gorilla exhibit, and then the gorilla steals someone's baby, and 100 random men just jump in trying to kill that gorilla. So it's completely random. It's just whoever's at the zoo, and you're in an enclosed space, like UFC style.
Yeah.
No weapons.
I think we're winning.
Just like branches and rocks.
It's going to be a lot of people are going to be taken out. I guess, then the question becomes, well, how many do you think, like, what's the least amount you think you can get away with? Like, does it have to be 100? I personally think 50 could do it. I think 50 is a solid, safe number because especially
I think 50 could do it too.
If you guys all like just circle him, right? And like, yes, people coming from the front, it's going to be a little bit more dangerous. But if you have people coming from the front, the side, the back, like in my opinion, there's just no way that we're not going to be able to take him down. Again, yeah, he's going to take a lot of us out. But like, I think 50 could get it done. Like I would feel confident going in there with 50 guys,
50, I think 50 is still too much. I feel
we have to think this guy he'll grab you.
I almost want to say 20.
He'll use you as a weapon.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. So it's like, I was going to say 20, but I feel like 20 is too little. I feel like 30. I feel like I could get away with 30. Like if 30 men can work together and then like, a couple people attack, a couple people throwing some rocks to distract them, and then someone comes in with a fat log. Like we just boom, boom, like take turns, like what's it called? Like the Justice League style, Avengers style, where it's like everyone's taking a shot. I think we could do it. I feel like 30 is like the bare minimum. But I feel like at that point, like at least 6 are dead and
at least
25,
6. I'm saying at least half of
24.
y'all, bro.
Everyone else is. Yeah, okay, so 15 fair. Dead, bro. But that's still 15 people. You know what I mean? Like, I get it.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. And did you see Mr. Beast like made a post and he's like, I don't know exactly what it said, but he was saying like, is anybody down to like test this out? And I'm like, how? Without people actually like dying, how would you ever test that out? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
freaking Mr. Beast. But I'm like, if anybody can do it, it's Mr. Beast. He'll like buy his own private island and like do it or something like that. That guy's, I mean, he has enough money to pretty much do whatever he wants. So.
I mean, he literally has given away.
Did you watch Beast games or no? Well,
No.
I only watched
I heard
it.
it was good.
I didn't watch
Did
like
you?
the full thing. I watched it because my girlfriend and her friend were like obsessed with it. Like they it's basically like reality TV and a game show. But bro, basically like his whole mission is to like pit people against each other. Like in these, it's not like it's like fun mini games or this. Like it's actually like a Squid Games, except you're not dying, right? But like in the sense of in Squid Games, like it's literally like you or somebody else, or like you're picking somebody else, or like you're sacrificing somebody else. Like that's basically the whole scheme of it is like, how do I get these people to go against each other for the drama of television? So like,
But that's also how the
What,
game
Squid Game,
was.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's basically Squid Game, except you're not actually dying. Like you're just being eliminated. But at the end of the day, it is entertaining. Like when I watched it, I was obviously like, okay, this is really dramatic. Like, because people are on there and they're like crying because they like got eliminated or whatever, and I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, bro, like you went there like with nothing. So like if you leave with nothing, like I don't know, it's kind of the same thing. You know what I mean? Like I understand like for this, like you can be in it a little longer and you can make it to the island and sometimes like that. But sometimes I'm just like, or some people like walk away with like a couple of grand and they're like sad. And I'm like, are you not $2,000 richer? But like, I don't know, maybe they had to take off from their jobs or things like that to go there. But they're doing a season 2, so
Yeah, Tyler,
I
you don't know what it
maybe
took.
I need to go on the
You
second
don't know what
season.
they went through to get there.
No, I couldn't, bro, because
Yeah,
like
I guess so. Maybe
one
we
of the
both
first
should.
games,
See who lasts.
there's like a panel of like a bunch of people, and he basically like puts an amount on the screen, and he's like, okay, $1 million on the screen, like if you want to take your portion, like a 50K portion, and he'll keep like increasing it, like you can accept it, but if you accept it, like your whole row gets eliminated from the game. I'm like, bro, if somebody's offering me like 20 G's, I'm out.
whoa.
Like, sorry. Like, I don't need the million. Just give me 20 G's. I'm cool, bro. Like, So I'm like, I probably wouldn't aim to go that far. I would just aim to like go there and make some quick cash.
I'm just aiming to win something.
But I think even one of my friends went on it and he only made it. So there's like a YouTube, like, or at least for this first season, they like did the first like quote unquote episode on YouTube to like eliminate a lot of people because they only wanted a certain amount for the TV show. And he made it on the YouTube channel, but he ended up getting eliminated there. But he made like, I think they still gave him like $1,000 or $2,000 just for like coming out. But apparently, like a lot of people had a lot of bad things to say in terms of like how they were treated, the shooting schedule, like they weren't fed well, they weren't taken care of. Some people weren't able to like get their medications for whatever reason. So like there was a lot of drama behind the scenes in that sense. But apparently it's greenlit for season 2.
Well, maybe I'm just like heartless, but if you ever watched the show, that's exactly what you should have expected.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, he's literally making a Squid Game, and y'all are going on here and acting like it's not going to be him pitting you against each other. Like, did you not know what you were signing? Like, again, the medication stuff, I understand. It's a TV show. Like, if people need, their medication for diabetes or anxiety or whatever it is, like, you got to give it to them. But in terms of like, the actual games, I'm like, you should expect that.
Yeah, like you shouldn't have. If he didn't do that, it would have been cheesy,
and it wouldn't be as successful.
Oh, it's too
as
easy.
Unfortunate as that is, like the only reason it's successful is because there's a lot of drama, and people love drama in today's society. So like that's what they're tuning in for, and he knows that. I mean, he's obviously very successful at getting views for a reason, So. Anyways, anything else you'd like to contribute to this episode? Or
No, I'm good. You good?
I'm good. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you guys, especially if you made it this far. If you made it this far, you're a REAL one, and we appreciate you. Go ahead and share all social media platforms with your friends, your fam, whomever, we want to continue to grow this channel and grow the podcast and reach a wider audience so that we can, hopefully encourage or hopefully just give you a break from your day-to-day life. All right.
Amen.
We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.
Peace. I'm so happy to be done.
Catching Up Podcast. If you're not caught up, you're catching up.
I don't necessarily know what that means.